Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready. Back, my people. This Melly Mel, aka Mr. Unapologetic, right here in your number one podcast. We have a very special guest, my brother from another mother, Jermichael Sergeant Tanner of the United States Air Force, is in the building with us, y'all. And I can't wait to start with the questions because I have a lot to ask, and I know y'all have a lot of information y'all want to find out, and that's what we're here to do. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Can't complain about yourself.
Oh, man, I'm alive. I've been enjoying this beautiful sun. It's been 90 degrees for 3 days now?
Yeah.
So I know you've been enjoying it,
Absolutely.
Especially the car show that's going around in town in Muskegon. It's been beautiful seeing the old classic cars. I'm a big car fan myself. And It's been a beautiful road to come out, especially all the stuff that's going on in the world today. And I just want to bring it out to you. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate the support.
I couldn't have do it. I know it's people out there that we need to do it. He's one of them, y'all. I salute him to the fullest.
Thank you.
But to start this off right, man, you being in the Air Force for how long?
9 years.
9 years, man. 9 years is a long time. That's
Long
dedication.
time. Absolutely.
That's a marriage. You said yes to the whole ordeal, and it seems like you enjoying everything about the Air Force. I want to say because being in there for 9 years, most people get out a couple of years.
Right.
You have that choice, but you yourself, being from North Carolina, I want to resume.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Coming up north to help recruit and to give people better insight of what it is to be in the Air Force. What is it that you are here for yourself to help sponsor and project to the locals?
Really, I really just want to tell or to get people to understand that there's another way, there's another opportunity, because there's a lot of people within that age range that we actually recruit that go through life, thinking that they have to do it one way, or there's only a couple ways to do it. Or that,
of course, yeah.
So I'm just here to to show people that this is a legit opportunity that you can capitalize off of.
Wow. And so when you first started, this I want to get to your opinion, your lifestyle of how you started in the Air Force, because I feel like that'll help guide those who are thinking about it, but on the edge of, I want to pull back because I heard of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And so when you first began, how was it for you? How did it go for you?
So I started thinking about it while I was in college. I played basketball in college, and there came a point where I realized playing professional ball overseas probably wasn't going to happen. So I started thinking about my next path, and I knew to do what I wanted to do in what my degree was in, which was psychology, I needed at least my master's.
Wow.
Now I got to figure out how I'm going to get that paid for. So I started thinking of different things, and the Air Force was one of the things that I thought about, or the military in general. And then once I decided, okay, I want to do the military thing, then I started thinking about, what branch would be best for me. So I started talking to different family members that I had that were serving. And then I actually talked to a couple different recruiters. And when it was all said and done, the Air Force was what was best for me.
Was your best pick for yourself?
Sir.
So what you said, family that was in the military. So what other branches are you associated with in family-wise?
So I had 2 cousins that served in the Air Force. One is currently serving. I had one cousin that served in the Army, and then I had a cousin that served in the Marines as well.
Wow. So you're pretty much the whole
All the way around.
Wow. And would you say that helped you choose to get into the military?
Absolutely.
As a little part of it?
Absolutely.
At least?
Because I knew I could talk to these people and I would get real answers. I would get genuine answers. I wouldn't get, the cookie cutter response if I asked a specific question.
Right. And that's what I grew up hearing. Cookie cutter responses like, come to the military. You don't have to pay for this. You don't have to pay for that. We'll take care of you.
Right.
Just be focused on your job.
Right.
But when you start seeing the PT training and what you have to endure to get to the next level, a lot of times people are like, you ain't finna yell at me for 2 hours in the sun, man. I'm hot and this is, come on, you know.
Absolutely.
So for you to have that mental strength, how was it for you going into that type of environment?
I felt like everything that I'd been through up to that point had prepared me for whatever I was gonna encounter in basic. Like, cause you hear the stories, like everybody has a basic training story about how basic was for them. So going in, I'm like, everybody's nervous, as you should be.
Right.
But I just knew that whatever I'd been through up to that point was probably as bad, if not worse, than what I was going to experience. So I just leaned on that.
And you just put your head up high and just ran with it.
Listen, I'm going. I'm going in.
And how long is basic training for the Air Force?
7.5 weeks.
So you have 7.5 weeks, and what is all in those 7.5 weeks? What type of training would you say?
So you get your basic military training. You learn how to march. You learn how to handle a weapon. You learn how to disassemble a weapon. You learn basic military techniques as far as shooting and different positioning for shooting, stuff like that.
Self-defense and stuff like that. Okay.
Yep.
So you be prepped after you leave this 7-week course.
Absolutely.
And is the Air Force, I want to say, has the longest or the shortest?
We have the
between
shortest.
Okay.
We have the shortest.
Why is that?
I think it's because of what we have to do to make sure our mission works. So our mission is different from the Marines mission or the Army mission or the Navy mission.
Right.
So we might not require the same type of training.
But the goal is still the same.
The goal is still the same. The goal is the mission.
That's it.
Accomplish the mission.
Man.
Now how the mission gets accomplished, that's different for each branch.
So after basics, did you get into any type of action? Like what type of job did you get into when you finally
most people, before you go to basic, the job you're signing up to do. So we have 150 different career fields that you can choose from. So my first job was it was called command post. It was in the emergency management field. So I equated to the Air Force's version of a police dispatch center. So we have Air Force police
dispatch center for the Air Force.
Absolutely.
Okay, please elaborate.
So on an Air Force base, you have everything that you would have in a regular city. You have police, you have firefighters, you've got a bank, you got a gym, a swimming pool, a mall, whatever you think you would need. On the base. You have all of that. So my job was when security forces, which is the Air Force Police, when they would respond to a situation, they would call me and say, hey, sir, I'm going to X, Y, and Z to handle this issue. And I say, okay. Then I hang up, and then I notify people that should know that might not necessarily know because they're off doing
whatever
things.
They do.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. All right. So it's almost like it's like the White House in a way. Like you have to get, not say permission, but to let people know exactly where you're going so there don't be no type of, miscommunications of who's supposed to be off the base and who's not supposed to be, correct?
Correct.
And you're basically the bridge between those two communications.
Absolutely.
Has there ever been a situation where you had to really show some force as being, in that position?
It's not really a lot of force you can show over the phone, but there's been plenty of situations where security forces will go somewhere or they'll do something and forget to call us. And now I gotta bug you. I gotta call you and be like, hey, y'all was supposed to call us. Because we have radios as well, so we can hear, different things that's going on. So if I hear something and you didn't tell me, now I'm gonna call you. I'm like, yo, you were supposed to call me. So now I gotta be the bad guy.
Wow. How long were you in this position?
So I did this for 8 years.
Straight?
8 years straight, I did that.
And you never thought about going to a different type of job?
100%. 100%.
Okay, 100%. All right. What was the jobs that popped in your head during this time?
I really wanted to go into mental health, and we have a mental health job. But the way the job selection process worked back then, so let's say you came in and you wanted a specific job. You say, hey, I want to do this job. And as long as you qualify for it, you'll get it. But you have to wait until that job opens up. So I had, at the time, I had graduated from college.
Right.
I was working 2 jobs, and I was just waiting for this job to open up. Now, 4 or 5 months has gone by.
Right.
Now, everybody that I went to get processed with, they've already got their jobs. They going to basic training already, and I'm still waiting for my job. So finally, I got impatient.
Yeah.
And I told my recruiter, hey, whatever job comes out next, I want it. I don't care what it is.
Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Just give it!
And that's how I ended up in that job.
Oh, wow. And during this time, you doing the command post thing, what base are you at? What state?
So my first base was Patrick Air Force Base in Florida. It's now called Patrick Space Force Base.
Space? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was there for 4 years. While I was there for 4 years, I deployed to Kuwait for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I bet that was fun, wasn't it?
That was fun.
It was?
That was fun. I did a year in Turkey, and then I did 2.5 years in Charleston.
Charleston,
South Carolina.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So through all those adventures, I would call them adventures, what was the best one?
I would say probably Turkey. And it's crazy to say that because you can't, at the time, you couldn't leave the base.
I was going towards Kuwait, y'all. like Turkey?
Turkey.
Is it like a colder climate?
No.
Type of environment? No?
It's pretty hot most of the time.
Okay.
And at the time, you couldn't leave the base. So I didn't get to see Turkey, like I didn't get to see all of Turkey.
Like a tourist.
Right. I just got to see the base. But everybody, so imagine like if you couldn't leave Muskegon.
Whew. I go crazy.
If you had to stay within the confinement of Muskegon.
No. And you had to do this for how long?
For a year. I did that for a year.
Brother, you strong.
But it was fun because everybody had to do it.
Okay, so everybody was on base celebrating and trying to do the best they can and not think about I'm stuck in this one environment for a year, 2 years, or however long. Wow, man. So is there any freedom when you like finally changed position? What did you ever get any free time?
So you get a lot of free time. It's just like I always tell people like, and I don't know how it is with other branches, but for the Air Force, they always tell you your off time is your off time. So most jobs will work 7 to 4, 8 to 4, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever it may be. Once you get off work, that's your time. You as long as you're not doing anything illegal, you do what you want with your time.
Right.
You go spend time with and you don't have to live on base. Like most people don't.
Oh, wow.
When you start out, you live in basically what are considered college dorms. But once you've been in 3 or 4 years, you get the opportunity to live off base. So you can go get you an apartment or a house.
Wow. But isn't there a certain... Now, I know the military, so is there a certain mile that you can't be away from the base? Or is it a certain place you have to reside in a certain parts?
So as far as living, like nobody's going to tell you where you can't live. But at the same time, you work at this base.
Right.
So... obviously, like anywhere else, like if you worked in Grand Rapids, like how far away from Grand Rapids are you gonna want to live?
That's true. Okay. All right. Because I've been hearing like stories, some people's like, man, I couldn't even go so and so many miles because of X, Y. I'm like, really?
Right.
It's not even that far. But now that you break it down like that, that makes sense because traffic, breakdowns, stuff really just basic everyday things that happen to everyday people just happen. You're in a position where regardless, you have to be at your post or your position when needed.
Yep.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's no different. That's no different than me telling my kids, you better be at school at this point in time.
Absolutely.
Y'all know it. We used to sneak out all the time. But hearing that from you, like, it gives me a different perspective of what my opinion on how the military, the Air Force as a whole was. Because I thought really you guys just really didn't do nothing as far as combat-wise.
Right.
However, when it comes to certain fights, you guys are the first people I will call, for me, backup. I need backup ASAP. Is that the sort of thing you guys are?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
There are specific jobs within the Air Force that are trained to be the first to hit the door, and then everybody else is just trained to be ready. So most people in the Air Force, when it comes to actual combat, like they have what I would consider like the basic knowledge. Like they know how to operate a weapon. They know how to put on chemical warfare gear. And that's just because on a day-to-day basis, you're not in combat. You're doing your job.
Right. So would you say the Air Force is really like the most laid back type of branch?
Yes.
Or is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know y'all still got to do your job, do your parts. If not, the support wouldn't be there.
Right.
However, when you talking about combat, special type of combat, do these particular people train with other military personnel, Marines, Navy SEALs to help hone in on their skills?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. And so do you guys actually work with them or train these other military branches because of certain things I know y'all don't do as precise?
It really just depends on the job. Like we have career fields that train with other branches just because their mission may be similar. And then we also have bases that are owned by another branch, but we just work there. So we work with them in that capacity as well.
Okay, cool. Because a lot of times, man, it's like seeing cat and mouse. Y'all have y'all little bickering wars and stuff like that, which is fun. I mean, it keeps it exciting. Everybody don't want to think about, I'm finna go to war every day, all day.
Absolutely.
So you got to keep, break the ice, so to speak. What are like some of the fun times you having that type of relationship with another branch? Water fights or something. Like I've been seeing like YouTube videos, like certain personnel have water fights and stuff in the barracks and stuff. Is that something like that?
Intramural sports.
Intramurals.
So when I was in Kuwait, intramural basketball came around, and in Kuwait, like half of the base was Marines, and so naturally, when intramural basketball season came around, the intramural Marines, they had their own teams. Air Force we had our own teams, and like we played them, and I took pride in beating the Marine team, and that was fun to me. So So for the rest of that year, like you can't say I don't want to hear Chair Force because we waxed y'all.
So Chair Force, that's what they call
us.
Chair Force. And plus, you hooped like basketball. What college? What college?
Brevard College in North Carolina.
Oh, wow. So point guard.
Point guard.
Ooh, so you was saucy on that one, man.
Nice. Nice. Still nice. Still nice.
Oh, man. I love it. So, all right. Now I'm going to switch up the questions a little bit. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty information because a lot of locals that I've asked, around town, friends, family, wanted to hear, like, what were their intakes on the Air Force? Like, how do you guys perceive the Air Force as the military? And a lot of times people say, well, they're just button pushers. Well, they don't really do nothing. Well, I talked to a gentleman who believes that, you guys are the brain of the operation. Mm-hmm. Do you see, is that really what it is as you break down the branches as of who's first, who's second, who's third?
Right. So I always say we're different. So when a lot of people think military, they think of shooting, they think of bombs, combat, and that's not the case for everybody. And that's not to say that we don't do anything. We do our jobs. Right, whereas another branch, they might do more of the combat and less of their actual job.
Wow. So you can go in for a job particularly, but depending on the situations that's going on, they can pick you up and place you where it's needed.
Absolutely.
In other words.
Absolutely. And that's generally how it works. Right. When you leave basic training, you go to what's called tech school, which is where you learn how to do that specific job. So basic is where you learn how to become that's where you become a military member. Like you learn the military.
Right.
Tech school is where you learn how to do that job. So if I came in to be an aircraft mechanic, when I leave basic, I'm going to school to learn how to operate, how to work on how to fix airplanes.
Or helicopters or whatever.
Whatever it is, I'm going to school to learn how to do that. And then I go to what's called my first duty station. That's where they send you first. At some point during basic, you make what's called a dream sheet, which is basically you saying, okay, I would like to go to these places. Yeah. You can put places that are stateside. You can put places that are overseas. Right. And the Air Force, like when it's all said and done, the Air Force, they do the best they can to put you somewhere within the vicinity of one of those places. Now, it could be your first one or near your first one, or it could be your last one or somewhere near your last one.
But that's crazy. I never knew they really pay attention to that. Yep. To help, whatever benefits you wanted to have and experience. Wow, that's dope. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, because they understand that, you're basically committing 4 or 6 years of your life to the Air Force. So at the very least, they look at it like the least we can do is try to put you somewhere you want to be.
Oh my gosh. So you're from North Carolina, correct? Mm-hmm. What brought you all the way to Muskegon, Michigan?
So when I was 2, my mom decided she didn't want to be in North Carolina anymore, so she moved to Benton Harbor, Michigan, where we had family. And I lived there until I was 15. Then we moved back to North Carolina. So when it came time for me to pick places that I wanted to be for recruiting, my first 20, 25, 30 were all down south. I wanted to be down south because that's what I knew. But
somewhere hot.
Yeah. So, but after that, it was like, it was places that I didn't know, but I knew of Michigan. And it was like 2 or 3 Michigan locations. It was Muskegon and Battle Creek.
Okay.
And I listed both of those because I know Michigan. I've lived in Michigan before. So I was like, okay, I kind of know those. And I didn't think I would get Michigan. I thought I would get somewhere down south. But I got Muskegon.
That's what's up, man. I'm happy that you came here. So during this transition, moving up here, getting used to the locals, was there a hard transition for you?
Yes. The winter. I hadn't experienced snow since I was like 14, 15 years old.
Oh man!
So that was different.
I wasn't for you.
It was different. It was different.
It was a little tough. Tough for the skin.
It was, and it's a as a kid, all you know is you playing in the snow. That's all you know about. As an adult, you got to shovel it. You got to drive it.
You got to drive in it, man. Oh, man, there's responsibilities.
I was sliding all over Muskegon in my Camaro.
Oh, yeah. Then you had the sports car in the snow. Oh, man, yeah. But it's great to hear that even though you didn't really expect anything from it, like what to expect,
Right.
you still tried. You
Absolutely.
still gave it all to actually come up here. And a lot of times I've talked to military people like, man, I can't do the cold.
Right.
Like they'll let you know, like, nah, I'm not going up north.
Right.
Unless I'm stationed or somebody tell me I have to go.
Right. Right.
So to hear somebody that's from the South that wanted to come and experience 0-degree weather and stuff
Right.
like that, but at the same time, you see the potential. I feel like in the environment, in the town that you're residing in.
Absolutely.
And I've been seeing you everywhere, man. I'm talking about Pathfinders, Boys and Girls Club organizations. So it's beautiful to actually see that in our local communities
Right.
from another Black man, because
Absolutely.
that is something that we don't see, every day. Not saying the military is, trying to segregate anything of
Right.
that statute,
Right.
but we do need to see more of us within these positions.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like that is a real big plus within the military to finally get, more minorities
Right.
in these particular positions?
I think it's definitely important for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but I didn't have anybody coming to me when I was in school telling me what a great opportunity the Air Force was.
Wow.
So to be in this position now and to go to a school like Muskegon or Muskegon Heights and be able to talk to people that look like me,
right.
and say, hey, there's something else you can do. It doesn't have to be a scholarship to play football. It doesn't have to be a basketball scholarship.
Right. You can actually use your intellect
Absolutely.
to actually get far in life. Man, that's a big jump right there. And how was it for you to actually, I want to say, get yourself out there? Was it a difficult time? Because
Right.
you're far away from home. And a lot of times, most people think military, you move a lot, you're used to it, but that's
Right.
not so the case.
Right.
People get homesick.
Absolutely.
People feel like, man, did I really make the right choice? Did
Right.
you ever have that type of doubts or something in your mind?
Absolutely. I mean, initially everybody has that thought, because the worst part is basic, because you're taken away from everything you know, everybody you know. You're in a brand new environment with brand new people, and all you have to depend on, you think all you have to depend on is you. But you grow to know the people that are in your flight at basic, and then you build a bond with them, and then 7.5 weeks later you graduate,
Right.
and now you go to tech school in a brand new environment, and
Right.
you meet new people in your class, and you build bonds with them, and then you leave that, and you go to your first duty station, and you meet your coworkers, and you build bonds with them, and then a couple years later you move to another duty station, and it just repeats itself.
Right,
So
right.
you just kind of you learn and adapt.
And during this time, do you remember the friendships? Do you
Absolutely.
have communication still?
100%.
Because a lot of times, when you're in the military, if you're welcome to coming to join it, most people will be like, I probably won't see you again,
Right.
This, that, and the third. So is there a way that you can always have that close friendship?
Right.
And that's important. I feel like that way of communication, people interacting as a whole,
Right.
is something that I feel like we all just yearn for. Even if you don't like talking to people, you still have to communicate.
Absolutely.
So it's nice to hear that, from somebody that's really been experienced and have been moving and adapting
Right.
for almost 10 years. So just a few questions here I have for you, because I want to get down to the nitty and gritty about it. Actually, I'm gonna switch it up. You've been in the Air Force in particular, just to be specific. Excuse me. 9 years, 10 years, so to speak.
Yep.
What is the future that you see yourself in as being in the Air Force? Because a lot of times kids, before they join,
Right.
they want to know what's the end game. Like, I'm not going to be in this forever.
Right.
And so how is it that I can transition out of my career choice, retirement?
Right.
That's always something to talk about.
Right.
So what is that for you as
So the goal is to make it to retirement. You can retire at 20 years,
Wow, really?
There are situations where you can retire a couple years earlier. Some people at like 15, some people can retire at 17. It really just depends on the situation. But I'd like to make it to retirement. But I'm not banking on it. I told myself, like I always tell myself, like I'll do it as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as I can tolerate it. I don't want to be the guy doing it just to collect a paycheck.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep right there. Because you enjoy what you do.
Absolutely.
As a whole. So
Right.
it's almost like if you got to have the passion for it. You got to be willing to sacrifice.
Absolutely.
And so for a new recruit, let's say I'm a new recruit, what would be some of the can you give me five top tier advices that would help me, join or while I'm in here, improve myself
Right.
in the Air Force?
Okay. I always say, find out what moves you, because that's what's gonna help me. That's what's gonna help me tell you what it is you're joining for. And a lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
I knew off rip, and I always use that example when people come in, and I'll ask them, why are you here?
Right.
And they'll say, oh, I want to serve my country. I don't want that. I want you to tell. There's you could serve your country. There's a million ways you could serve your country, but there's a reason you came into the Air Force office. My reason was I knew that if I could do 4 years, I could get my master's degree paid for.
Right.
Period. And that was enough for me. that was all I needed. That was all I needed.
That's a big ticket.
And I knew that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't shy about telling my recruiter that. Like that's my goal.
Right.
I wasn't the guy that came in wanting to do 20. I was just like, I want to get my master's paid for. And he was like, okay, we can do that.
And so he was like open book about it?
Yeah,
Just
he was like,
okay.
yeah. He was like, this is how you go about it. This is what we give you. And you just got to commit to 4 years. And that was all it took for me. It wasn't that deep for me.
Wow. And 4 years turned to 9.
4 years turned to 9, exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, and doing so, did you complete your master's? Or
No, because it was like every time I got to the point where I wanted to start again, life.
Yeah.
Life comes out of nowhere. At one point I was married. So obviously, family life comes into play.
Of course.
I deployed to Kuwait, which, that takes you away from your regular duty station.
Right.
Puts you in
a whole
a
different
war zone.
environment, yeah.
And, you're only there for 6 months. Then you go back to your duty station. And then every couple of years, you're moving to another location. So it's like every time, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. So anybody that's able to be full-time active duty military
Right.
and complete any type of schooling, I commend them for it because it's hard.
Wow, because I would think like something like that, especially because you're in the military, there would be like online classes.
There are.
Or something so you can take it with you while you go overseas or whatnot.
Absolutely.
So
100%. So I will say, like it's partly me not wanting to or not having that drive,
Right.
because like when you get so invested in one path, like you kind of just put everything else on the back burner. So once I got to the point where, I was like, okay, I don't want to do command post anymore.
Right,
Now
right.
all my efforts are geared towards getting out of command post. So school, all right, I can get to school. School's always gonna be there, but this is my window to get out of command post.
Wow, okay. And I see that happening. Because I see that happening actually with me too. Because I'm not for to keep jumping around and y'all want me to sit here and try to study for a test. No, darn well I'm not ready for this test yet, man. I don't like it. So I applaud you for actually trying and actually being in positions where you gave it your best shot. You don't really hear that. You know, people give up fast, especially nowadays. Instant gratification is something that our society now tends to grasp for instead of the hard work and the patience and the understanding the craft to get to wherever you want to get to.
Right.
And so you taking, the leap of faith, and then after you only thinking 4 years, ended up being 9 plus.
Right.
It tells a lot and it shows a lot. Like it groomed you to be a world-class leader.
Absolutely.
In a way. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Man. So with all that being said, sergeant is your title, correct?
Correct.
It's
Staff sergeant.
Excuse me, staff sergeant.
Yes, sir.
So what is the next level that are you looking forward to, or is this it for you?
So once you get to staff sergeant, that's like the first rank that you make that you actually have to start testing for. So you actually take a test.
Oh, wow.
And then basically like your results on that test, how well you do on that test combined with what you've done performance-wise, all that together, determines whether or not you make the next rank.
Wow. So it doesn't go by like mission completions or job completions.
So all that goes into it, but what did you do to complete the mission? Like, what was your part? So that all of that is
okay.
So it's like a performance eval.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So every
so
year
you gotta
you
be
get
in your P's and Q's
100%.
all times.
If you want to make it up.
Yeah. And how is it kept tracked? Because of all the transitions and jobs and COs that you probably come into that you have to remember or respect as you go along.
Right.
How is that? Does that help you in the transition to the next level? Do they teach you the certain things that you may not know that you need to do before you get to the...
Absolutely. So as a young airman, they teach you to kind of keep track of things that you do for when it comes time for them to make award packages for you or for them to write, performance evaluation bullets for you.
Right.
So, you get to the point where you're writing the bullets and then, your boss, he's been writing them for years. So you send them to him and then he looks at them and he critiques them and then he'll send them to his boss and his boss will look it over and so on and so forth.
Until they come up with, this is perfect.
Right, this is perfect.
This is what we need.
Right.
Okay.
This is the perfect package for you. And then they send it back down, you sign it, you say, okay, this looks good.
Wow. What's the highest rank that you ever in the Air Force have you ever came across? Like you have to really be on yes sir mode, should I say?
A 4-star general.
4 stars.
4-star general.
And
that's like that's a totally different side. So the average person is gonna be enlisted. Most people will be enlisted for their entire careers. Officer is kind of like the managerial positions, and that's a totally different rank structure.
Right. Wow, 4-star general. Okay.
So that's like the top of the
that's
top.
the top of the top right there. Oh, man. 30.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm thinking about Major Payne so hard when I think about that. It's, man, it's incredible, like the stories that you've just told me and the hearing the travels, hearing the decisions that helped you guide yourself into being a recruiter, staff sergeant. What is what is one of the things that I want to say? How can I say it? What is one of the things that you will always remember about being in the Air Force that you will carry with you forever?
The one thing.
Yeah. It's a little tough there.
They preach it a lot, and you hear it a lot throughout your Air Force career. Resilience. And that's because of how much you go throughout your Air Force career. So, like, in 4 years, like, there's just no telling how much you can go through as a person. Not just as an Air Force individual, like as a person. So imagine being 18 years old.
Okay.
You're sent away to a foreign country.
Right.
Now, mind you just graduated high school. Last year, you was making beats on the lunch table. Now you're a full-fledged adult, making your own money, responsible for your own decisions and your own actions.
Right.
You're in a country where the legal drinking age is 18.
Wow.
You're hanging out with people that are in their mid-20s, early 30s.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole different world right there.
That's a whole different world.
Hey, you made me sit back and chill a little bit. So I know you see that a lot.
Absolutely. You see it all the time. And then having to navigate through all of that. Now, that's just social life. Having to navigate through that. And then having to navigate through being the brand new guy, the youngest guy at you're in your office learning this job and trying to become proficient in this job, and then you get sent to another place a couple years later when you feel like you've got the job figured out, you got the place figured out. I know where I'm supposed to go. I know where I'm at. I know where everything I need is. Now they send you somewhere else, and you got to do it all over again. And this happens for 4 or 6 years.
Dang, man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So the resilience that I've learned and, just adjusted to throughout my 9-year career, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Wow.
Because you experience a lot.
Yeah.
And that's the military.
Yeah.
Not to mention your family back home might be going
your
through
personal backlash, back in the head, you still got to be focused while, something, deaths, anger,
real life,
all that.
You got your mama back home, your parents are going through it, your siblings, your aunts, there's still real life stuff back home.
Exactly.
That you can only do so much for, that you still have to think about.
And that's a lot of things that you tell the recruits as you talk to them and stuff. Make sure they understand what they're getting into, what they're signing up for.
Absolutely.
Wow. Since you've been in Muskegon locally, how has it been for you for the recruiting aspect? Like, how has it been? Have you been meeting a lot of great people? Have you had recruits that you like? Wow, man, you just ready for it. Like,
right.
Have you experienced that yet?
Absolutely. I've met a ton of people. As far as like actually recruiting, it's been a roller coaster. We call it peaks and valleys. There's like really high highs and really low lows.
Right.
Just because of the way that it goes. Like, as a recruiter, your seniors are like your high school students are like that's your market pretty much. So throughout the school year, that's you kind of want to work those your seniors, because those are the ones that's your breadwinners.
Okay.
So you got to get as many of those as you can before the school year ends, before they decide whether they want to go to college, go to work, or join the military. So then, after you they make their decision. In the wintertime, nobody's going anywhere because you got all your seniors from the previous year.
Right.
The ones you didn't get either went to work or went to college. And the ones that went to college aren't going to want to move until they've at least gone through the first semester and realize school isn't for them, or they don't like school.
True. Wow,
so you
man, Wow. Because I thought it was usually, people come in. You have a lot of times you see the military putting a lot of wall pictures on there telling who they recruited. Right. What is the things that you do to help signify that brotherhood? Welcome to the Air Force.
Okay, so when I was in college, my school we won a championship. Mm-hmm. It's the only championship in that school's history as a Division II school.
Wow.
And I got the banner. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I got the banner hanging up in the office. So when a recruit is about to leave for basic training, I have them sign that banner, because I'm gonna keep that banner for the rest of my life.
Right.
And then I have a pink basketball. So the flight of recruiters that I'm in, we're called F Flight, and so our mascot is a flamingo. So like we've embraced this whole pink flamingo thing. So I got a pink ball. So when they're about to leave, a flamingo. That's our mascot. That's our mascot. So
I never knew that, man. I never seen a flamingo mascot. 100%. Not yet. That's the first one for
100%. We are the flamingos,
man. But to win Division II, man, that's a feat.
Oh yeah,
that's a feat.
Yeah.
Congratulations again. And coming. For me, just meeting you, we've been talking for months.
Right.
Man, I've grown from talking to you, hearing like the sureness in your voice, seeing you everywhere. Like I'm running to you in certain programs. And I'm like, man, is that? Oh, what's up, sir? How you doing? It's like, yeah, man, I'm here talking to the kids and stuff, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I feel like that is what makes you different from the rest.
Right.
Because you're not just in one particular region or area, you everywhere.
Right.
You in North Muskegon, you in downtown Muskegon, you I think I seen you in Grand Havens one time.
I'm
I'm like, man,
everywhere.
you're everywhere, and I like it. I be bragging like. I figure I'd interview him real soon.
Right.
I tell my girl that I'm gonna interview brother real soon. I can't wait to talk to him.
Absolutely.
Because he's doing what he's speaking about.
Absolutely.
And so that right there says a lot about, you know, your character and what the Air Force have, you know, helped mold you to be.
Absolutely.
As well as coming from your background,
Right.
with family and friends and whatnot. And so all that shaped, you know, a person I feel like will be an honor to follow
Right.
within that particular rank, man. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
For sure. And so where are you located? What can these beautiful-minded, strong-minded young people come to, you know, just to hear you talk and express yourself about the Air Force?
So my office is 1795 East Sherman Boulevard.
Okay.
I'm in the same plaza as the Walmart and the Staples.
Okay.
You can also reach me by phone, 231-206-8027. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm all over it.
You got a little Twitter? You got Twitter too?
I don't have a I haven't had a Twitter in years. I haven't had a Twitter. I'm not big on Twitter.
Not big. Okay.
Nah, I gave
But Twitter's
Twitter
hot. Twitter's becoming the biggest biggest thing now.
It is. I'm old. I'm old, so I can't even. I don't even know how to navigate Twitter.
Well, I thank you, brother, all the same. Thank you all for tuning in on Unapologetic, your #1 podcast. And also, I got to give a shout out to my brother, Z.G.E Studios, Zoe in the background, on the ones and twos and everything, man. I love my brother. So make sure you tune in and tap in. All the information about Sergeant Tanner, about the United States Air Force will be on the description below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please leave a comment. If you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable asking him personally, you can hit us up and we can see if we can answer some questions getting back to you for him. So don't be afraid. Make sure y'all tune in, tap in, and thank you for joining us once again on Unapologetic, your #1 podcast. Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, man.
Yes,
Your
sir.
time and your service, always.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, man.